history, beauty has captivated the human mind and the human heart. It's something deeply personal, but universally understood. So let's take a beautiful sunset, or a lush landscape. Or what about a gorgeous piece of art? So in the age of AI, where basically AI could do almost anything, so it can diagnose diseases with precision, it can navigate autonomous vehicles around really complex environments. It can also, create these deep fake videos that, challenge our perception of reality. Can AI actually be also taught to discern the nuances of beauty in the same way humans do? Well, I'm going to talk to you about how I already did this way back in 2016 and how we're using that today to help make beauty more accessible to people around the world. So this work started during my PhD, and when I was trying to figure out what I'm going to do with my PhD, I was just thinking about that kind of feeling when you go to a really beautiful place and you just feel so relaxed, you just feel much calmer. And I was curious whether we can actually quantify that connection. So my PhD was about quantifying that connection between beautiful environments and our well-being. And the good news is that I did find some evidence. So I found that across all of England, people report better health when they live in more beautiful areas, and this holds in urban areas as well. And individuals are also significantly more happy when they're visiting more beautiful places. Again, this also holds in urban environments. But, I was wondering, what are these beautiful places composed of? Because if they're just natural environments, then that doesn't actually help me, because we already know that natural environments are linked with better well-being. So, I just really want to understand, what are these beautiful places actually made of? So the data that I actually was using in my research, it's called a website called Scenic or Not, and people can rate these images between 1 and 10. And what's happening in the background is every image represents a square kilometer of Great Britain. So when you map out all these images, you actually see the really scenic places pop out, places around England that you might visit. So again, now we're trying to understand if we can actually find this collective understanding of beauty that goes beyond the idea that what is natural is beautiful. So I was thinking about our evolution. And could that, give us some hints as to the fact that there might be a collective understanding of beauty? I mean, of course, there's individual preferences, but, I'm just trying to understand that collective understanding of beauty that might be not just natural spaces. So then there's a theory called Keller and Wilson's biophilia hypothesis. And this is talking about the idea that we might like certain types of trees and that we find them beautiful because they kind of represent nourishment or maybe shade. So we're kind of driven by evolution to think trees are beautiful. But that's still natural, right? So then there's J. Appleton's prospect and refuge theory, and this one's really interesting. So you know how when you can actually look to the horizon, you also feel a little bit more calmer? So that is a theory that you feel safer, and that's why you might find it more beautiful. So these are all theories, but I need to find a way to test it. I've got my Scenic or Not data set. So in this data set, I actually have 215,000 images that have been rated 1.5 million times. So I can use this data to really understand what do we collectively find beautiful. So I ran all my images through is a convolutional neural network. So it's a deep learning algorithm that can extract various things from the images at scale. So it can tell you, is there a beach or a boardwalk in the image? Is it a city scene? Is it man-made? Is it natural? Can you see to the faraway horizon? And we can extract all these different features out of that. And after putting that and then doing a statistical analysis, I started to understand what do we collectively find as beautiful. So, unsurprisingly, of course, you see scenes that are, oceans and valleys and also, forests, and because we love trees, obviously. But it's really interesting that we start to see these built-up elements as well. And I was really excited about this because here we are starting to understand that we actually find elements of our built-up world as being beautiful as well. So this is English data. Of course, we're going to see cottages, but you're going to see, lighthouses as well. And we see bridge-like structures. Like I think everybody has a beautiful bridge in mind. What do we find unscenic? Of course, it's industrial highway. But what's really cool is we start to see no horizon. So that's, you're in a space you can't see to the horizon. You're going to rate it down as not being beautiful. And what was really surprisingly is that people rate down grass. And I think it's just because if it's flat grass and it doesn't have these valley contours or trees or the things that actually, we love, it doesn't really appeal to us. It's just a flat piece of grass. But really interesting for the idea when we create green spaces and the fact that we should actually think about that beauty element as well. So coming back to the fact that, can we actually teach an algorithm to, discern what's beautiful? And I needed to do that because I was looking at the connection between beauty and our well-being, and I had the data from Scenic or not. But remember when I said before that there's only one image per square kilometer. Now, this isn't really great for understanding that connection between beauty and our well-being, especially in urban areas, because that's what I'm really interested in, because I want to help understand how we can build more beautiful cities, for example. So I was really curious if I can actually now train a deep learning algorithm, so a convolutional neural network is what we would use, to help predict the beauty of images. And it worked. So I actually was able to do that. I actually took the same algorithm that we used before, where it can recognize what's in a scene. So it's, it can recognize if there's an ocean scene or a tower scene, as you saw before. And you can do a technique called transfer learning, where you could teach the same algorithm to do something a little bit similar but different. And it worked. And I had an algorithm that was suddenly starting to understand what's beautiful. So just to test it as well intuitively, not just with numbers, I was like, okay, let me give me all the images of London. So I took images from Geograph. Again, I was around 200,000 images, and like, tell me where's beautiful in London. So Hampstead Heath is an area I spent a lot of time during lockdown because I found it very beautiful and I found it very relaxing. And, it recognized that all around Hampstead Heath is beautiful. So where you see green is beautiful, purple is very super scenic, and then gray is not so beautiful. So you can see how with these images, we're starting to cluster where the beautiful scenes are. So here's an example of an image. And then, central London, I was wanting to see, is it going to pick up anything really interesting? And so, of course, we see the parks, but we also see Regent's Canal as well. So that's a built-up element. And it's smart. It knows that just because it's green doesn't mean it's beautiful. If it looks quite disheveled, it's going to rate it down and, not say that that's a beautiful scene. And again, the built-up areas. So again, it likes characterful buildings. So it will pick up on these scenes where you've got characterful buildings and rate them as being beautiful as well. So these are kind of the mix of where you find beautiful places in London. Again, it's that mix of natural as well as built up. So we published that paper, so you can have a look at that. And it was really interesting because turns out that beauty isn't in the eye of the human beholder, that machines can be trained to detect beauty as well. So what am I doing with that data today? So last year, I set up a company called beautifulplaces.ai. It's a nonprofit community interest company. And what we really want to do is understand, again, that connection between beautiful places and our well-being. And we want to look at it from 3 different angles. So that personal well-being, that community well-being, and that long-term economic impact as well. Because if we can understand that connection, we can, help people, lobby for more beautiful places. So it's just providing that data. So one of our angles is to provide the data. 2 is obviously continue the research. 3, we also want to collaborate with other like-minded institutions as well, because we want to amplify the impact that we can do with that beautiful data. And then 4, we're also developing our own features from this data as well. So working on a really cool app that will help people discover beauty around them. And the way that works is it's a mobile app, and I've learned exactly how complicated developing mobile apps are. And so it actually does on-device computer vision, so people's privacy is protected because it looks at your photos and starts to understand your aesthetic preferences. So, you know, again, there are commonalities of beauty, but of course we have individual preferences as well. So it understands that, and then will suggest where around you there might be a beautiful spot. Again, you know, mixing up that built up as well as natural area as well. So that's what we're developing now. And, you know, so I think that's, yeah, if you want to get in touch and find out more about it, do. But I just want to end with the fact that, you know, I think it's cool. So AI can actually be used to discern, you know, the beauty the way humans do. And what we can do with that data is absolutely incredible. So by harnessing AI, we can actually make the beauty of the world more accessible to everybody in ways that we never imagined. So thank you.